O.J. Simpson's life was full of fame, tragedy, and controversy. After his death, people learned more about what was really happening behind his public image. His daughter revealed personal details about their family, about the fear Nicole Brown Simpson lived in, and about what O.J. told his kids regarding that terrible night in 1994 when 2 people were murdered. Her words were not spoken in court but in private talks that later reached the media. What she said went against his claims of innocence and added to the dark shadow that will always follow his name. O.J. Simpson was born on July 9, 1947, in a rough housing project in San Francisco. The area was full of poverty and violence. His father, Jimmy, worked at a hospital but had a secret that broke the family apart. When O.J. was only 5 years old, his father left them. Later it was revealed that Jimmy was gay and had hidden it from everyone. He passed away from AIDS in 1986. O.J.'s mother, Eunice, worked long hours at UCSF Medical Center, often earning very little money. Their apartment had broken windows covered with cardboard, no heating, and sometimes no electricity for weeks. When O.J. was just 2 years old, he got a bone disease called rickets because his family couldn't afford milk. His legs bent badly, and doctors thought he might never walk properly. But his mother refused to give up. She made leg braces out of wire hangers and old bed sheets. He wore them for 3 years. Other children teased him and called him names, but by age 8, he shocked everyone when he started running faster than the kids who had once mocked him. At 13, O.J. joined a gang called the Persian Warriors. They were involved in crime and drugs, and to prove himself, he had to steal something worth at least $100. In 1961, he was arrested after robbing a liquor store with a knife. His mother had to pawn her wedding ring to get him out of jail. He did community service cleaning graffiti, some of which he had drawn himself. Later, he was caught selling stolen car radios and sent to a juvenile detention center. It was a tough place with hundreds of offenders. During that time, a visit from baseball legend Willie Mays changed his life. Mays told him, "You can steal bases instead of cars, kid." That message stuck with O.J. Mays even gave him a signed baseball with the words, "Run toward your dreams." O.J. kept that ball for 35 years before selling it to help pay his legal bills. In school, O.J. didn't do well. His grades were poor, and he skipped classes often. He failed English and math, and his SAT score was very low. But on the football field, he was a completely different person. At City College of San Francisco, he became a star athlete, rushing for over 1,400 yards in just 9 games. In one game alone, he scored 5 touchdowns and ran for 367 yards. Soon, many top colleges wanted him. The University of Southern California, USC, coach John McKay even visited O.J.'s family and allegedly offered money to convince them. When O.J. joined USC, he didn't train during the spring season but still dominated once games started. Before every game, he would get nervous and throw up, but then play with incredible energy. In 1968, even with a sprained ankle, he helped USC beat UCLA by running for 64 yards. That season, he had nearly 1,900 rushing yards and 23 touchdowns, winning the Heisman Trophy with a record number of votes. But his personal life was already becoming complicated. While at USC, O.J. got into a fight at a nightclub after someone made a racist comment. The school kept it quiet. He lived in a fancy apartment paid for by boosters and began dating actresses while mixing with questionable people. Rumors spread that he had fathered a child with another student, and the school paid money to keep it quiet. His roommate claimed O.J. kept a loaded gun and had connections to illegal gambling. O.J. didn't attend most of his classes, but the school helped him stay eligible to play by giving him fake grades. He even paid others to take his exams. Though he never completed his degree, he still walked in the graduation ceremony in 1969. That same year, he was drafted by the Buffalo Bills as the number 1 pick in the NFL and signed a record contract. But he didn't want to play in Buffalo, he wanted Los Angeles. He refused to join the team for over a month until the owner gave him extra benefits like a car dealership. Even during his first season, he argued with the coach and refused to run certain plays. His first few years in the NFL were disappointing, and he even thought about quitting football. By 1971, injuries and heavy drinking were ruining him. He tore a ligament in his knee but kept playing by taking pain-killing injections. His body was suffering badly. But things began to change when coach Lou Saban took over in 1972. Saban helped O.J. feel supported again, even arranging social events and dinners to make him feel less lonely. He convinced the team owner to build the offense around O.J. and offer him a huge new contract. In 1973, O.J. made football history. He became the first player to rush for over 2,000 yards in a single season, an incredible record, especially since the season then was shorter than today's. One of his most famous games was played in a snowstorm so severe that the field was barely visible. Despite the freezing weather, he ran for 157 yards. That season, he averaged 143 yards per game, a record that still amazes football fans. O.J.'s strength wasn't just physical. In one game, he dislocated his shoulder but continued to play, running for 168 yards and scoring twice. Doctors called it one of the most courageous performances they had ever seen. However, his attitude behind the scenes caused problems. He demanded special treatment, custom shoes, personal trainers, and specific equipment. When the team didn't meet his demands, he threatened not to play. The tension between him and the management grew, even though he was the face of the team and a national hero. That same year, while he was becoming a legend on the field, legal trouble started brewing. A hotel employee accused him of pushing her down a flight of stairs after an argument about a champagne bill. She ended up in the hospital, and although O.J. denied it, the case was quietly settled for money to protect his image and endorsement deals. In 1974, O.J. demanded a massive raise, asking for $1 million per year, which was unheard of at the time. He also wanted a no-trade clause and big bonuses for his performance. Fans grew angry, and ticket sales dropped, but eventually, the team gave in. O.J. became one of the highest-paid players in the NFL. From 1974 to 1977, O.J. continued to play brilliantly, even when his team performed poorly. Everyone knew he would run the ball, yet few could stop him. He scored nearly half of the team's total touchdowns one season and continued to amaze fans with his skill and power. But while his athletic career looked bright, his personal life began to show darker sides. He had a temper and often drank heavily. He became controlling in his relationships, and people around him said his mood could change in an instant. In 1978, he was traded to the San Francisco 49ers. He was out of shape and more focused on acting than football. He memorized movie lines during team meetings, earning the nickname Juice Box Office. Though he still managed to rush for over 1,000 yards, his body couldn't take the punishment anymore. He retired in 1979 with more than 11,000 rushing yards, a remarkable achievement. After football, O.J. became a celebrity in Hollywood. He appeared in movies, commercials, and TV shows. He was charming, funny, and well-spoken, becoming one of America's most famous sports figures. But behind the smiles and fame, his marriage to Nicole Brown was filled with violence and fear. Friends and neighbors reported hearing screams and seeing bruises, but Nicole often stayed quiet out of fear. Then came June 1994. Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman were found murdered outside her Los Angeles home. The nation was shocked when O.J. Simpson was accused of the killings. The trial became one of the most publicized events in American history. Millions watched the slow car chase, the dramatic courtroom moments, and the glove demonstration that became famous worldwide. In the end, O.J. was acquitted in the criminal trial, but later, in a civil court, he was found responsible for their deaths and ordered to pay millions to the victims' families. Even after the trial, O.J.'s life continued to spiral. He faced more legal problems, including armed robbery charges that led to prison time. His public image was permanently damaged. The man once seen as a sports hero became a symbol of controversy and denial. When O.J. died, reports said his estate was worth around $3 million. His children received jewelry made from his ashes, a strange and symbolic gesture. But what truly remained was not his money or fame, but the stories, secrets, and pain that followed his family. His daughter later revealed more about what really went on inside their home, speaking about the fear Nicole lived with, and the things O.J. told them privately about that tragic night in 1994. Those confessions and memories revealed the truth behind the mask, the story of a man who rose from poverty to fame, who broke records and became a national star, yet whose life was haunted by violence, pride, and loss. O.J. Simpson's journey shows how greatness and darkness can exist in the same person, and how fame can never truly hide what happens behind closed doors. His story remains one of the most shocking in American history, a reminder that success doesn't always mean peace, and that the truth eventually finds its way to the surface, no matter how long it takes. O.J. Simpson's 1973 record of 2,003 rushing yards was even more impressive because he did it with one of the smallest offensive lines in the NFL. He managed this while playing through extreme pain. In 1976, he ran for 275 yards against Pittsburgh, most of it in the second half when the team was already losing badly. He later admitted that he played his last 3 seasons with such severe knee pain that he needed illegal cortisone injections before games just to move. Despite doctors warning him of the danger, he never missed a game. He risked permanent damage every time he stepped on the field. In November 1977, during a game against the New York Jets, O.J. tore several ligaments in his knee. Instead of stopping, he had doctors inject him with an experimental drug that wasn't even fully tested yet. After the shot, he went back on the field and ran for a 45-yard touchdown, pretending to limp until that moment. Later medical scans showed he had torn his ACL, torn his MCL, and partially separated his kneecap. Still, he kept using that same painkiller in at least 6 more games, even after doctors warned him. Years later, the drug was banned when studies proved it caused serious addiction in most athletes who took it. When O.J. finally retired, he moved into television broadcasting. NBC offered him $500,000 a year to work as a sports commentator, even though he had no real experience. They hired him mainly to compete with another popular football broadcaster, Don Meredith, from ABC. O.J. looked confident and smooth on camera, but behind the scenes, he struggled badly. He had trouble speaking naturally during live TV and needed a teleprompter for almost every line. NBC producers often complained that he didn't rehearse enough. He also caused legal headaches for the network. In 1978, O.J. was accused of hitting a bartender who refused to serve him alcohol. NBC paid the man $15,000 to drop the case quietly. The network constantly worried about his unpredictable behavior, though they tried to keep his public image clean. In 1974, O.J. also started acting in movies. His first role was in The Klansman, where he played a black man seeking revenge after being attacked by racists. The film was violent, raw, and stirred controversy across the country. O.J. had never taken acting lessons, but the director wanted him anyway because of his fame. Many theaters refused to show the film, and it made very little money. O.J. later said he used memories of racism from his childhood to help him get through the emotional scenes. In 1977, he appeared in the TV miniseries Roots, one of the most powerful shows in American history. He played a slave catcher in a brutal scene that shocked millions of viewers. Over 3,000 people wrote letters of complaint to ABC after it aired. O.J. cried after filming and said the experience left him emotionally shaken, but he also believed it was important to show how cruel slavery really was. The show was seen by about 130 million people, and while it made O.J. more famous, he also received death threats because of how real and violent his performance seemed. In 1978, he starred in Capricorn 1, a thriller about a fake Mars landing. During filming, he broke his ankle but refused to stop production. He often talked about conspiracy theories on set and made the crew redo one emotional scene 47 times, which went way over budget. The film turned out to be a box office success, but critics said O.J.'s acting was stiff. After that, he was mostly offered simple action roles. That same year, he starred in Goldie and the Boxer, a TV movie about friendship and boxing. It became a surprise hit and earned him a People's Choice Award nomination. Around this time, he became the face of Hertz rental cars. His commercials, showing him running through airports and leaping over suitcases, became some of the most iconic ads of the 1970s and 1980s. The ads made him $1.5 million a year, which was more than he ever made as a football player. He even came up with some of the stunts himself, and fans often chased him during filming. In 1980, film director George Lucas wanted O.J. to appear in The Empire Strikes Back as a stormtrooper who removes his helmet to reveal his face. But O.J.'s agent demanded $500,000 for only 3 days of work, and Lucas refused. He even considered creating a whole new character for O.J., but O.J. said he didn't want to wear a helmet because he needed his face to be visible in every scene. That decision cost him the opportunity and millions in potential merchandise earnings. From 1975 to 1994, O.J. filmed over 30 commercials for Hertz. The most famous one, filmed at Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, became so popular that the airport had to put up signs telling people not to run through the terminal like O.J. did in the ad. He earned over $5 million from his long partnership with Hertz, and the company's market share grew from 35% to 42% during that time. For years, O.J. was one of the most recognizable black spokesmen in America, until Michael Jordan later took that title. Not all of O.J.'s business ventures were successful, though. In 1985, he launched a company called O.J. Simpson Bronco Footballs. The footballs were supposed to be top quality, but they were made so poorly that quarterbacks complained about wrist injuries and strange wobbles when they threw them. The balls were quickly pulled from stores, and O.J. was sued for $500,000 for neglecting product quality. The case was settled privately, and the business closed down the next year. O.J.'s personal life was just as turbulent as his career. He first fell in love as a teenager with a girl named Marguerite Whitley, whom he met at Galileo High School in San Francisco. They married on June 24, 1967, when O.J. was only 19 and already dreaming of an NFL career. Their first child, Arnell, was born in January 1968, followed by their son Jason in April 1970. Their family seemed happy, but tragedy struck in August 1979 when their youngest child, Erin, drowned in the family swimming pool. She was just 23 months old and passed away 8 days later in a hospital. The loss devastated both parents, and their marriage couldn't survive the grief. They officially divorced in March 1979. By then, O.J. had already met someone new, an 18-year-old waitress named Nicole Brown. They met in 1977 at a Beverly Hills nightclub where Nicole worked. O.J., already a celebrity, was instantly drawn to her. Their relationship quickly became serious, but it also marked the end of his 12-year marriage with Marguerite. O.J. and Nicole got married on February 2, 1985, in a lavish ceremony at his Los Angeles estate. The wedding cost over $500,000 and had around 400 guests, including many Hollywood stars. To the public, they seemed like a glamorous couple with a perfect life. But behind closed doors, things were dark and violent. On New Year's Day in 1989, things reached a terrifying point. At 3:58 a.m., Nicole called 911 in fear for her life. She told the dispatcher, "He's going to kill me." When police arrived, they found her hiding outside in the bushes, wearing only a bra and sweatpants. Her lip was split, her eye was swollen, and there were bruises shaped like fingers on her neck. O.J. had reportedly screamed at her, saying she didn't belong in his bed anymore, before attacking her. Despite all the evidence, O.J. faced only misdemeanor charges. On May 25, 1989, he pleaded no contest to spousal abuse and received a sentence of 120 hours of community service, a $200 fine, and counseling. The judge described him as arrogant and dismissive in court. Even after that, Nicole stayed with him for 3 more years. Friends said she was terrified of him and felt trapped. She often told people that O.J.'s charm in public was the opposite of who he was at home. He controlled her life, her money, and even who she could talk to. Though their relationship continued, it was filled with fear, anger, and control that would later end in tragedy. O.J. Simpson's life looked perfect from the outside. He was rich, famous, and beloved. But behind the fame, he was a man fighting demons, making reckless choices, and destroying the lives of those closest to him. His story is one of success built on pain, fame shadowed by violence, and charm hiding a dark reality that the world would only fully see years later. O.J. Simpson's life was a mix of fame, talent, tragedy, and controversy. His football career was legendary, but his personal life in later years turned into one of the most publicized stories in American history. His record of 2,003 rushing yards in 1973 stood out as one of the greatest achievements in NFL history, especially because he did it with one of the smallest offensive lines in the league. In 1976, during a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he ran for 275 yards, most of it in the second half, even though his team was losing badly. Behind his impressive performances, however, he suffered from severe knee pain. For his last 3 seasons, he took illegal cortisone shots before games just so he could play. He risked permanent damage to his body but never sat out. In November 1977, during a game against the Jets, he tore several ligaments in his knee. Instead of quitting, he asked doctors to inject him with an experimental drug that hadn't been properly tested. He returned to the field and ran for a 45-yard touchdown, dropping the fake limp he'd been using. Later scans revealed he had a torn ACL, torn MCL, and a partially separated kneecap. Years later, he admitted to using that same painkiller in 6 more games, even though doctors had warned him about the risks. The drug was later banned because it caused addiction in most users. After retiring from football, Simpson moved into broadcasting. NBC hired him for $500,000 a year, even though he had no experience, to compete with ABC's Don Meredith. While he appeared confident on camera, he actually struggled with live television and depended heavily on a teleprompter. Behind the scenes, NBC often worried about his behavior. In 1978, he was accused of punching a bartender who refused to serve him. NBC paid the man $15,000 to drop the charges, showing how much they were willing to protect his image. O.J. also pursued acting. His first movie role was in The Klansman, 1974, where he played a black man taking revenge after being attacked by racists. The film was violent and controversial, and many theaters refused to show it. He later said he used memories of racism from his childhood to help him play the part. In 1977, he appeared in the television series Roots as a slave catcher in a disturbing scene that shocked audiences. Over 3,000 people complained to ABC about the brutality. O.J. cried after filming and said the experience broke him emotionally, but he felt it was important to show the reality of slavery. In 1978, he starred in Capricorn 1, a movie about a fake Mars landing. During filming, he broke his ankle but refused help and continued shooting. He made the crew do 47 takes of one emotional scene, which raised the film's budget by $200,000. The movie performed well, but critics said his acting was stiff. After that, he mostly got roles in action films. That same year, he starred in Goldie and the Boxer, which became a surprise hit and earned him a nomination at the People's Choice Awards. At the height of his fame, O.J. became the face of Hertz rental cars. His commercials, where he ran through airports jumping over suitcases, became iconic. He earned $1.5 million a year from the ads, more than he made in football. He even came up with the stunts himself and was often mobbed by fans while filming. In 1980, director George Lucas considered casting O.J. in The Empire Strikes Back for a cameo, but O.J.'s agent demanded $500,000 for 3 days of work. Lucas canceled the idea, losing O.J. what could have been a huge opportunity. From 1975 to 1994, Simpson appeared in over 30 Hertz commercials. One of his most famous ads, filmed at Los Angeles International Airport, became so popular that officials had to ask people not to run through the terminals copying him. He helped Hertz grow its market share from 35% to 42%. He was one of the most famous black spokesmen in America until Michael Jordan's rise. However, not every business venture succeeded. In 1985, he launched O.J. Simpson Bronco footballs, which were so poorly made that quarterbacks got injured using them. He was sued for $500,000 for negligence, and the company went under a year later. Simpson's personal life was equally dramatic. He married Marguerite Whitley, his high school sweetheart, in 1967 when he was just 19. They had 3 children, Arnell, Jason, and Aaron. In 1979, tragedy struck when their youngest, Aaron, drowned in the family pool at just 23 months old. The same year, their marriage ended in divorce. During that time, O.J. had already met Nicole Brown, an 18-year-old waitress he met at a Beverly Hills nightclub in 1977. O.J. and Nicole married on February 2, 1985, in a lavish ceremony at his estate. Their daughter Sydney was born later that year, and their son Justin followed in 1988. But behind closed doors, their marriage was filled with control and violence. O.J. reportedly tried to dictate everything Nicole did. Even after their 1992 separation, he paid private investigator Anthony Pellicano $100,000 a month to follow her, track her car, and record her phone calls. Nicole often told friends she felt watched constantly. Her sister Denise documented 17 harassment incidents between 1992 and 1994. In 1989, Nicole made a desperate 911 call, saying, "He's going to beat me up." When police arrived, she was bruised and terrified. O.J. was charged with spousal abuse but only got community service, a small fine, and counseling. Despite this, Nicole stayed with him for several more years, likely out of fear. By 1991, O.J.'s finances were crumbling. His endorsement deals were gone, his divorce cost him $500,000 and $10,000 a month in support payments, and his taxes piled up. He even sold his memorabilia and rented out his mansion to make ends meet. In 1986, he secretly had a vasectomy, but when Nicole wanted another child, he reversed it in a painful $15,000 surgery that led to the birth of Justin. During family therapy in 1993, O.J. admitted he had deep control issues and kept detailed journals about Nicole's daily life. He also admitted to using steroids during his career, which some believe may have worsened his temper. He told his therapist about violent dreams that made him feel powerful, disturbingly similar to what would later happen. On June 12, 1994, Nicole, 35, and her friend Ron Goldman, 25, were found brutally stabbed outside her condo. Nicole's throat was cut, and Ron had 30 defensive wounds. O.J. had fresh cuts on his hands when he flew to Chicago that same night. Evidence, including blood found in his car and at his home, pointed to him as the main suspect. When he was supposed to surrender to police on June 17, 1994, he instead got into a white Ford Bronco with his friend Al Cowlings and led police on a slow-speed chase through Los Angeles. 95 million people watched it live. In the car were a gun, cash, and a disguise. Eventually, O.J. returned home and was arrested peacefully. His trial began in January 1995 and lasted 134 days. It was called the Trial of the Century. The defense, led by Johnny Cochran, claimed the police mishandled evidence and framed O.J. The most famous moment came when O.J. tried on the bloody gloves found at the scene. They didn't fit. Cochran told the jury, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." After just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury found him not guilty. The verdict split America, with many believing race played a major role in opinions about his guilt. In 1997, a civil jury found him responsible for the deaths and ordered him to pay $33.5 million to the victims' families. He declared bankruptcy and moved to Florida, where his assets were protected by law. Over the years, the families received less than 1% of what they were owed. In 2006, Simpson wrote If I Did It, a hypothetical account of how the murders might have happened. The book caused outrage and was pulled from publication. Later, the Goldman family obtained the rights and released it under the title I Did It, with If barely visible on the cover. In 2007, O.J. was arrested again after leading a group of men into a Las Vegas hotel room to recover sports memorabilia at gunpoint. He was convicted of robbery and kidnapping and sentenced to 33 years in prison. He served 9 years before being released on parole in 2017. After his release, he lived in a gated community in Las Vegas, played golf, and stayed mostly out of the spotlight. In 2023, he revealed he had prostate cancer but said treatment was working. In early 2024, rumors spread that he was in hospice care, but he denied them in a video. O.J. Simpson died on April 10, 2024, at the age of 76 from metastatic prostate cancer. He died in Las Vegas surrounded by his family. He was cremated, and his ashes were turned into jewelry for his children. His estate, worth about $3 million, quickly became the center of new legal battles. Even in death, controversy followed him. Despite being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1985, O.J. Simpson will forever be remembered not just for his achievements on the field but for the trial that divided a nation. His story became a reflection of fame, race, justice, and the power of celebrity in America.